know Mercury is the planet of the mind. It represents the way in which we think. The earth element is reality based. So when Mercury is in earth, we get a realistic and practical thinker. Let's throw another idea into the mix, something important in interpreting this placement. Virgo is the sensitive earth sign. So we end up with a very observant, perceptive person. This Mercury is a discriminating thinker. They usually have accurate eye-hand coordination and nimble fingers. Just sitting and watching a movie isn't as appealing to them as also getting some knitting done or putting a scrapbook together. The purposeful use of time, the maximum result for the effort put in, is super important to this placement. Its pragmatism surrounds a single concept. I don't care how it looks. I don't hang on to romantic notions. I want to know if it works or not. Further, the Virgin is associated with cleanliness, and we do see Mercury in Virgo paying a lot of attention to their mental hygiene or lack of it. We get another clue as to what makes this placement tick by looking at the part of the body Virgo is associated with, and that is the intestinal tract. The intestines break down everything we consume and put it in a useful form while squeezing away the waste. That's what happens on a mental plane when Mercury is here. Like the intestines, this mind can get in there and synthesize information. They take ideas and winnow them into something organized. They simplify the complex. Virgo is also associated with health, and that's because health is the wholeness and integrity of the body. This sign is drawn to problems. It sees the loose thread in the jacket, the typo in the paper, the reflux they've had going on for 2 days in a row now. Mercury here is conscious of what's wrong because they're the cosmic editor. Virgo likes work, and editing is pretty much the difference between work that's great and work that's so-so. What you've drafted is only the nascent stirring of a project. For Virgo, greatness usually hinges on what you keep and what you throw away. Now, sometimes this placement malfunctions and you get the person who just criticizes everyone, but there's no follow-up. There's no energy donated to the fix. They have an eagle eye for error, but nothing is materially different afterwards. Nothing changes, and the intent is to make no progress. It's important to this Mercury sign to believe a couple of things deeply. I am competent. I have developed mastery. The real challenge for them is to persevere through the negative inner voice that says, you're not doing anything right. If that voice is there, it must be silenced because it only gets in the way of an integrated personality. The stage and screen actress Anne Bancroft is a good example of the planet Mercury in the sixth sign. She said, nothing I've ever learned in my life has come from a single source. I read a book, talk to someone, hear a lecture, and reflect on an experience. It comes from everywhere. Why? Because she's actually looking for a single thread that runs through all of it. This sign is associated with scholars and students, and it has a vague idea that life is preparation for a test of some kind at a point in the future when they'll stand before a truth and be required to rise to that occasion. Mercury in Virgo wants to find just a few simple, enduring ideas because this placement is a minimalist. It was the early 90s when Anne Bancroft was being interviewed by Joan London, who started off first thing with a statement. She said to Anne, "As a woman in Hollywood, you have earned the right to do good parts." Anne said, "No, I didn't earn it. I selected it. I vowed to myself that I would only ever take good parts that were right for me, even if it meant I didn't eat, and sometimes I didn't eat. I didn't earn, I selected." That's perfect because this placement loves wordsmithing, using a precise vocabulary, because as Mark Twain said, the difference between almost the right word and the right word is the difference between a lightning bug and lightning. I said in the Earth element video that the Earth signs are the builders of the zodiac. What is Mercury in Virgo trying to build? A better self, a cleaner, more efficient person. In that same interview, Anne corrected Joan London 2 more times. One was for a word choice that didn't quite capture the feeling, and the other was the misstatement of a fact. That's a lot of correcting in a few minutes, but it wasn't unpleasant at all. It was, in fact, as if Anne was just as much of a student in search of information and whose corrections were made out of service to the purity of the conversation. With Virgo, it always goes back to cutting out waste. And letting someone labor under the wrong notion is waste. If everything spoken has been accurate, then Anne Bancroft has talked about her work in a way that makes her a teaching tool. Mercury in Virgo thinks it's better to show, to be a display rather than to tell or speak in abstractions. Mother Teresa was another one with Mercury in this service-oriented, helpful sign. 77 years she helped the poor, and she did it in a quiet, earthy Virgo way. There's none of the fiery performances of the evangelicals. This wasn't a Jim and Tammy Faye Baker situation where they had gold faucets in the bathroom. She would sleep on the rat-infested floor of a hut in Calcutta next to the family she was assisting. Her message was as simple as it gets. Share. She said, "The poor are wonderful. They're generous. I have seen a starving man give half a banana to another starving man. In America, you have so many bananas and you don't share them." You can imagine how tangled in waste we must have seemed to her. And what she said about our waste was that it made her angry. It's true, America is the most wasteful place the world has ever known. And there's something basically wrong with that in the eyes of Mercury here. Both nuns and vows are associated with Virgo. Nuns because of virginity, and vows because sticking to vows gives a clarity Virgo likes. Vows keep a situation clean and predictable. They're centering in times of hopelessness and chaos. Mother Teresa said, "People can be self-centered and irrational. Forgive them anyway. If you find serenity, people will be envious. Seek serenity anyway. If you do good works, people will say you have an ulterior motive. Do good works anyway." because it was always between you and God, not you and them anyway. Principles are a kind of armature that holds up a life, and Mercury in Virgo likes the stability and objective reality that armature gives them. Thank you for watching Secrets from an Astrologer's Desk, Mercury in Virgo. I'm Joy. More videos to come.